weekend is finally upon us. It's been a long-ish week because we had the holiday yesterday. But hey, it's been a long life as well. Nevertheless, you're watching Smell the Coffee with Diana Master and Glenora Shipura. How are you doing today, sweetie?
I'm doing very well. We were working yesterday while everybody else was resting, so I'm looking forward to this, the Saturday. Just to rest, breathe. What are your weekend plans?
We are working, Chami.
Oh, yeah. To be fair, we love what we do.
Yeah.
We just could ask for more breaks.
We are working, Chami, but then if we rest, who's going to entertain the fans?
Exactly.
Who's going to entertain the viewers?
You see the sacrifices, the love that we have for you guys.
Yeah. So actually, on that, it's been a long life. I don't mean to be morbid, but then sometimes I really do find myself thinking about it. Like, so we do all of this just for a few days off in a year and like one vacation probably a year just to die?
I know. Guys, what is the point? Okay, now we're starting to go through the existential questions.
Yes.
Like, what is the point of life?
I've been having an existential crisis for the longest time. I'm not even going to lie. I've been having an existential crisis because to me, I'm like, so what is the point?
What is the point of life? Why are we here?
Yeah.
What are we meant to accomplish here? Is it to, leave work, party a bit, die?
Because honestly speaking, my thing is, even the Bible says life is futile. I'm like, yeah, I agree. And I know people always like, oh, make the best of everything. You only live once. I'm like, but do you? And like, again, that whole thing of what happens after you die. Because again, I was thinking about, I don't know if you saw on my status where I said, I've been thinking about this the whole day. Like some people are really, really bad people. And I hope that hell is actually a real place. Because you don't get to go through life being a terrible person and then it just ends with you dying.
Honestly, I hope that hell is a real place, but like on earth right now, this, you know what I'm saying? I need to see the people that have done horrible, not even to me, but just to other people, get their hell here now. Me, I'm there for the revenge. And also, please, show us the revenge. Please, don't let them suffer in silence. And
no,
we need
to see
it. Please, we want to see. Because they say the universe is the best, handler of karma. You shouldn't go try to, even the odds or whatever. But at the same time, I want to see it.
Yeah.
I want to see it.
There's a show that I was watching on Netflix. It's a Korean show. It's called The Fiery Priest. But in it, there's a line in one episode where he says, your hell would literally be you doing the same thing over and over and over again. Like, it's not necessarily like, walking on beds of nails or anything like that, but just doing the same thing. And then you die and you get reincarnated and you keep living the same terrible life.
Wow. But if you die, you get reincarnated, you would not know that I lived this life, last life. Do you get what I'm saying?
No, but that's the idea of the hell then. Like, you will still remember your past life.
Oh, I see.
And it's literally just the same thing over and over and over and over again.
But that brings us to something, a lot of psychologists are, or at least from my little research that I've done, most people are living in a state of constant cycles. You keep on dating the same type of guys. You keep on, getting the same type of bosses, the same type of work. You know what I'm saying? Till you learn whatever it is.
Whatever lesson that you need to learn, yeah.
Or heal, whatever you need to heal so that you stop attracting this type of people and so forth. So maybe that's a kind of hell in its own. Right?
Yeah. Like, that's why people say hell is a place on earth.
Yeah, because it's crazy. Because even you and I sitting here, we also have our own versions of cycles.
Yes,
that you
like repetitiveness.
Yes, I'm like, I've seen this before, guys. Like, come on.
And don't even get me started on deja vu and spirituality, because we will not stop.
We will not stop.
But anyway, we will be taking a quick ad break and getting into some of our top stories when we come back.
Attention kids, we have some exciting news for you. We are back, and this year we are planning on going big. So listen up. If you are in grade 3, grade 2, grade 1 or pre-primary, we are bringing your free school workbooks to you soon. This is all you need to know about where you can find your books. books will be available for free in Republican Street Sale newspapers and all Namibian Sun newspapers. And for all pre-primary kids out there, your books will be delivered to your school in all 14 regions of Namibia. And there's more. Pre-primary books will also be printed in 9 different languages. Check out when your book will be available from the schedule right here. That's not all. Our free online school is there to help you along the way with video lessons and more books to download. You can also follow along on NTV every Monday to Friday from 9:30 to 11:30 for your daily online school lesson. We thank all our sponsors who are helping to build a brighter future for Namibia. Contact us at info@acdtrust.com and follow us on Instagram.
Now, of course, the biggest news for the week was the Met Gala. And yeah, so we saw some of your favorites. Some of your favorites did not eat. They didn't even cook the food. The food was still raw in the fridge. Some of them were sizzling, and then some of them were just not there. And I'm talking Rihanna. Everybody was waiting to see her. So people were asking, why did she skip the Met Gala? Well, today we find out she skipped the Met Gala because she had the flu. Rihanna, the fashion queen of the Met Gala, was sorely missed on Monday night. The Umbrella singer, who's known to arrive late at the gala, did not pitch at all. According to People magazine, the 36-year-old singer and businesswoman had come down with the flu and was unable to make it to the event. Fashion enthusiasts everywhere were looking forward to seeing what the superstar and her partner A$AP Rocky would be wearing at the star-studded affair, especially since she had earlier hinted at what she would be wearing on the night. Last month, she told Extra that she will be keeping her look really simple this year. It's going to come to what my makeup and what my hair is going to do. We want to play with that, but I have no idea what I'm going to do with that, said the mom of two. At the time, she revealed she had 2 gowns picked out to choose from for the event. She added, very simple-ish compared to everything I've ever done. I'm showing up for dinner. Shout out to Anna Wintour. She recently admitted that her old ultra raunchy looks now give her the ick. Asked about her fashion regrets, she told British Vogue, I had my nipples out, I had my panties out, but now those are things I guess as a mom, as an evolved young lady, it's just things that I feel like I would never do, and I'm just like, oh my gosh, I really did that. Nips out?
Yikes. Yikes.
I saw that clip, and it was captioned with the captions read, eventually everyone becomes the boring aunt.
But I think you have to live your life. I'm not trying to advocate for whatever, but
Yeah.
I'm just saying at some point you have to live your life. You have to be... I mean, she went through the crazy wild phase, right? And that was authentic to her at the time. And now she's evolved and she's a mom now. She's like, But I'm very conflicted because I understand. Like, she's still very young. She came on the scene very young.
Very young. Wasn't she like 18?
Yes, and fashion was a way to express herself.
Yes.
So
Yes.
I understand who she was then, and also I understand who she is now. But yeah, so eventually we grow out of it.
And Rihanna has always been a fashionista. I think
Exactly.
fashion has always been her passion. I didn't mean for that to sound tacky and corny as it did, but yeah,
Yeah.
I genuinely think fashion has always been her passion. But again, like you're saying, at the time, that's what was authentic to her.
Yes.
And you know, at the time she made a statement, I'd rather that than for her to have been conservative all her life and never have had that phase.
Exactly.
Rather be like, but I had fun back then, you know? Not
But
like
I lived.
but I lived. Because
Yeah.
now you're old, your body is not bodying the way it used to, and now you can't wear certain things, which is why I'm going to seize every opportunity I get to wear a crop top.
Exactly. But also, if you're still a hot 40-something-year-old,
I will wear my crop tops.
Not
Please.
even if.
When?
We will be, you know what I mean?
When we are hot
40-some-
40-year-olds,
Exactly.
we're
That-
not going to look 40.
Exactly.
We need to make
and-
that promise to ourselves.
Exactly. No. For sure, babe. For sure.
We need to,
That's why we are
because-
starving right now. Jokes aside, please eat well. A balanced diet gets you a long way.
Exercise. Drink your
Exercise,
water
drink
and
your
mind
water.
your business.
And mind your business, exactly.
Because being in
exactly.
people's business actually ages you. It does. It does. So if you ever needed a reason to not be in people's business, just remember it ages you really, really, really fast and
It's
really,
true.
really terribly.
All that frowning and the, ooh, look at what she's doing. Do
You don't want to
what
age
happens
like
to your
sour
face?
milk. You don't want to age like sour milk.
And a
age
lot of
like
people
fine
are
wine.
aging like sour milk. I've
Because
seen.
they're sour on the inside, and now it's translating on the outside.
Exactly. You did mention like how Rihanna was always a fashionista and that was her thing. I mean, we saw Kim, unfortunately we don't have pictures of it, but I just wanted to briefly touch on it. Kim's outfit for the Met Gala. And it was, like...
What waist? It would really
And
was
she was
giving what
looking
waist.
so
Uncomfortable. And what was that cardigan that she was wearing? Someone said that cardigan was giving my dress ripped and I didn't have anything to cover it up
But I
with.
saw her preparing and it was planned.
It was planned, and then the heelless heels.
And she was like this the whole time. So, and she's like, this is art. In the video, she says, this is art.
I would not suffer for art like that. I'm sorry.
And I'm like, that's not art. That's just you suffering.
That's
You know what I'm
abuse,
saying?
girl.
It's abuse.
That is abuse. But hey, maybe we don't get it because we're not fashionistas.
Exactly.
But I would never.
I prefer comfort over anything.
Yeah, honestly.
Now, moving on to our next story. Earlier on, we talked about how, we feel like the universe must show us the karma. I think the next story just serves just that. A Chinese tech executive has ignited outrage in China with her fiery endorsement of toxic workplace culture, which eventually caused her to lose her own job. Qu Jing, the former vice president and head of communications at Baidu, often duped China's equivalent to Google, sparked a public relations crisis for the Chinese search engine after her controversial comments hit a raw nerve with young workers fed up with grueling hours and relentless pressure. In a series of short videos posted last week on Douyin, China's version of TikTok, Qu spoke about her devotion to her career, strict management style, and unflagging demands on her direct reports. In one video, she lashed out at an employee who refused to go on a 50-day business trip during the COVID-19 pandemic when China imposed stringent travel restrictions and quarantines. Why should I take my employee's family into consideration? I am not her mother-in-law, Qu said. I am 20 years older than you. I didn't feel bitter about it or tired, even though I have 2 children. Who are you to tell me that your husband can't stand it? In another clip, Qu shared her personal sacrifices. As a working mother, she was working so hard that she forgot her elder son's birthday and what grade her younger son was in at school. She said she didn't regret it because she chose to become a career woman. If you work in public relations, don't expect weekends off, she said in a third video. Keep your phone on you 24 hours a day, always ready to respond.
Okay, the thing is, we're not surprised. Because that's the work culture, China, Japan,
apparently
South Korea.
It's so toxic.
That is that's why they also have really high suicide rates, because people can't take the pressure from the offices.
Actually, humanity was not even created to be like that. You get what I'm saying? Like, that's why it's not even saying people can't take pressure. Nobody should have that level of pressure on them.
I have never put on my CV, I work well under pressure, because I don't. Okay?
And no one
don't
should.
Put me under pressure. If anything, I will be useless to you under pressure, because I will just shut down and be like, I'm not going to do it.
Actually, that question in the interviews, I think that earlier this week on Monday, Aina and I were talking about this, the telltale signs of a toxic workplace culture. Okay. And that question is used in almost every interview. How well do you work under pressure? But
not well at all. Please don't put me under pressure. I am not a soldier. I was not meant to suffer.
Exactly.
I am meant for the soft life. I will do my work.
I will work for you, for sure.
I will work.
But I will not kill myself.
Because again,
yes.
Have you noticed a lot of the times it's a thing of, like, someone failed to do something and then that domino effect, and then it trickles down to you.
And then now you have pressure.
So I always say a lack of planning on your part does not constitute an emergency on my part.
So now because you didn't do A, B, C, and D, now I must run around.
I'm not going to do that.
And then I must miss my kids' school things and etc.
And you know what? Especially with kids, it's very important that you show up for your kids. Because you don't want your children growing up with that trauma of absent parents. And I've realized a lot of the times people assume that, just because you have money, you're a present parent. You're not.
I'm sending you to private schools.
Grow
the hell up.
You pick up the kid at 5 p.m. By the time the kid comes home, they're tired. You're also tired because you've been working the whole day. You're cranky and you don't even get to spend time with your kids. I think for me, that's like my worst fear. Because you wake up one day and your child is 18 and you're like, where did the time go?
I know someone who's is an executive, and he said, like, early on in his career, because he was a rising star, so he was always so busy. And then one day he realized, you know what? The people that are going to miss me, you know, when I die are my kids.
Yes.
The job is just going to replace me. There's
Yes.
always going to be someone.
The job will replace
There's
you
always
by
going to be someone,
2
guys.
days. In 2 days' time that I found your replacement.
So he made a vow that he has his boundaries with work.
Yes.
You don't call me after a certain time. I'm with my kids. This is what I do. So I have to go pick them up. This is, you know, my lunch between this and this is for my kids.
This is the time I get to spend with them.
Yes, and from whatever, 4 or 5, I'm with my kids.
I agree.
Your emergencies, I can deal with that tomorrow.
I'll deal with it tomorrow. Because
And that's a very bold thing to do in a culture that I want to say rewards toxicity to a degree. I mean, it doesn't reward in the long run, because in the long run, like I said, you'll be replaced easily.
Not even just that. Like, if you go to China, South Korea, Japan, the way people smoke there is ridiculous.
To deal with it, yeah.
To deal with it. And most of them even start at a young age because they're trying to deal. Because again, countries like that, it starts even in school.
You're being bred like that.
In school, they get so much pressure because, like, if you watch some documentaries, you find that, like, some of these kids go to bed at, like they finish school to say, I'm done with school at, like, 11 p.m. Yeah.
And they have to do it again at 7 a.m. the next day.
Because their classes run from morning until, like, I think 4 p.m. And then from 4 p.m. they have to go to what they call academies. So that, because you can't be that kid that's not good in school. Because again, they're competing for jobs. They're competing to get into the best universities. So it's just pressure.
From a young age.
From a young age. I'm not talking high school, even like primary school. Because why are you reading at first grade level even though you're in first grade? You should be reading at fourth grade level already. If you're in fourth grade, you should be reading at seventh grade level already.
Okay, guys, please, let's do better with this new society.
Yeah.
I like the new generation, though. The new generation is
Gen
like,
Z. We're updated.
Gen Z is like, you know what? Y'all can handle that, not us.
Y'all have fun.
Y'all
It's
have fun.
giving
I'm not doing
toxic.
that. I'm not doing
One thing
that.
about us, I know, we'll hang in the resignation letter and be like,
Yeah.
the vibes are off in this place. I saw there's a TikTok page that literally just, talks about Gen Z resignation letters. And it was like, this girl walked in and she was there for like 1 hour, and then she was like, the vibes are off in this place. I can't work here. I'm like, you know what? That's valid. Vibes being off, that's a valid excuse.
It's your intuition speaking.
It's your intuition speaking. But anyway, that does bring us to the end of our top stories, but we'll be right back with an interview after this break.
eTicket, your online ticket solution for events and event marketing, bringing you ease of mind and making sure that your event gets out there. For more information, contact events@nhh.com.na.
Now, Stacey Pinto, the Chief Executive of the Namibia Trade Forum, shared a conversation with me on what some of the Trade Forum's mandates are, as well as some of the lessons learned in trade over the last few years. Let's have a look. You're still watching Smell the Coffee. Now, this morning I have someone who oozes elegance with me. We are joined by Stacey Pinto, Chief Executive of the Namibia Trade Forum. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you so much for having me. Good morning.
Good morning. So please share with us and with our viewers, of course, what the Namibia Trade Forum duties are.
Right. So the Namibia Trade Forum is an agency of the Ministry of Industrialization and Trade. similar to your BIPA, your Competitions Commission. We are an agency of the Ministry of Trade, particularly responsible for private sector engagement. And the reason we do that, or the purpose for which we do that, is to ensure that private sector can influence trade policy. What does that mean? If you're sort of up to date with what's going on in the economy, you will know that Namibia is a party to a couple of trade agreements, one of them being SACU, SADC, etc. Now, how that works is that we go to those forums not as individual member states, but as a collective. And so our role is to make sure that private sector can give their views or their input to help create a national position, which is then amplified to a regional position. That is a very critical role because, as you know, government does not trade. It is private sector's job to do so. And so the people that trade policy will most influence is private sector. And so we have been instituted or mandated to make sure that there's a structured way in which private sector can influence the policy that eventually creates the environment in which they function. The second role that we perform on behalf of the Ministry of Trade is that of market access, be it domestic or regional or international. What that means is that we have a number of Namibian produced goods, services as well. And the immediate question is, where is the market? So we help facilitate that function. We work with retailers, we work with different countries to make sure that Namibian products, A, have visibility, two, have market preference in these spaces.
I see. All right. So you've been CEO at the NTF since 2020.
Correct.
I understand.
Yes.
So what changes have you witnessed firsthand in the Namibian trading community in the past 3 years?
So interesting because I started right in the middle of COVID. 2020 was the year COVID sort of started, and it was, I think, in March.
Yes.
And I got into office in May.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So it was extremely challenging because none of us had ever dealt with something like COVID at the time, if you remember.
And the
we
world
weren't
was locked
sure.
down.
Yeah. But even before that, we didn't know how serious it was. Was it coming to Africa? Was it coming to Namibia? Is it an international thing? And so because we've never dealt with a pandemic this magnitude, literally, private sector was looking for information everywhere. Government was trying to come up with the policies as well as trying to protect its people. So it was a lot going on. Working from home started soon after I got into office. So that took away, that personal interaction I would have with my team or even with the public. And so I don't want to say sailed through it. We're catching balls wherever we could. But in that, remaining as true as possible to our mandate, trying to feed information to the private sector. Things were changing at borders within minutes, within hours.
Yes.
There was queues, there was backlogs. So it was literally hands on deck and trying to do what we could to make sure that trade was happening. Why was that important? I like to say this just to sort of put things into context. But in COVID, because countries were trying to protect their people, their population, trade was at the back burner. Namibia almost about imports everything we eat, and that's predominantly from South Africa. So we weren't getting in as much food and produce as possible. Obviously, that has immediately questions the issue of food security. How food secure are we? If you talk to a lot of people in this industry, you will learn that if it wasn't COVID, Namibia had food enough, I think, for plus minus 3 months. Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
So for people that don't work in this field, it's like, oh, I can go to the shop and still find it.
Because
No.
I mean, just relax.
No,
That's for you to deal with.
Correct. It's not that easy. And so what we saw sort of in the COVID period was that, and this is, I think, why this is important, the work we're doing now, is that suddenly there was such come up by the domestic producers and sector to because for me, I'm a mother, I have 2 children. The last thing I wanted to do was to go to Pick n Pay because maybe in catching the trolley, I would get something.
Exactly.
There was a risk everywhere.
Yes.
And so what we saw was a come up of 2 things. Number 1, e-commerce. Number 2, our own productive capacity. We now realize that people are actually growing produce here in Namibia that could come up for that shortage that would be there in the stores. So what we did after COVID, well, I don't want to say after because it
But
took
like
quite a while.
during- yeah.
What we did is that we looked at all of the potential that came up during COVID, because suddenly the private sector that were doing stuff in Namibia, they really came up. They could show that we're able to do this. We have the fruit and vegetables. We have the meat. We have the eggs, because that's who we were going to. You know, e-commerce came up really well. Food deliveries. I know a couple of businesses that were set up during COVID. So
Yes.
after that, we had to sit down and say, look, we've seen all of this potential. What can we do to make sure that we're not losing it, that it just doesn't go back in the shadows somewhere? And I think, in speaking to your question, the change we've seen is really how open the markets are to locally produced goods and services. We're slowly but very intently moving away from needing to import everything. We're now intentional about, can we find it in Namibia? That's the first question. What does that do? It creates a job, it creates business for Namibia. And that's why we want to buy and spend local so we can grow our country.
And that is amazing, I would say.
And that brings us to the end of our show. We'll see you again tomorrow, same time, same place.